Hey everybody, it's Chris Eads, known online as Wootini, with another Gay Gamer video podcast. We're going to jump right in because there's a lot to talk about this week, and I don't want this episode to be super long. Don't want to do that to you guys. So, quick movie reviews to start. As I promised last week, I did see Dark Phoenix. Unfortunately, it was another X-Men movie. That's literally my review of it. I tweeted out, I was like, well, that sure was an X-Men movie, wasn't it? Because what it is it's basically super frustrating because they have all of this potential and then they just kind of squander it. And it's super irritating because they could make such great movies. They have good actors, they have a budget, and they just don't do it right. Because the original X-Men trilogy fell apart because Wolverine was their breakout star, and they decided that every movie had to star Wolverine, and I'm like, you have a whole bunch of X-Men to use, why don't you use some of these other X-Men? And that's why when they did Dark Phoenix, they screwed it up, because they made it about the Jean and Wolverine relationship, and it's like, no, that's not the what? Huh? So, this time, it was at least Cyclops and Jean, their relationship, except that because these movies, this time around, are all about Mystique and Charles and Magneto, the other X-Men get absolutely no play. So, in this movie, it's 10 years after the last one, and Jean and Scott are, they still look like they've just started dating. They don't feel like they're in a lived-in relationship, and we get no screen time to establish this relationship so that we care later on when it's in danger. It's so frustrating because they put the focus on the wrong things. At least Dark Phoenix is not about Charles, Mystique, and Magneto. They do actually have to focus on Jean because it's her story. But I look forward to, I hope that now that Marvel has the X-Men back, I hope that they're not too scared off. They probably want to wait a couple years before they make another X-Men movie because they want the stink of this to go away. But I would like to see what they do because they did so good with the Avengers, bringing in, here's a bunch of heroes and they're all going to get some screen time, they'll all get something to do, and then it's great. And it's not just about the one character or the two characters, and everyone else is just like a supporting cast that gets 3 lines of dialogue. Seriously, you have Nightcrawler and Storm, and they have literally a dozen lines of dialogue between the two of them. It's absurd. Why are you wasting these characters? You have a whole roster of characters to choose from, and it's always about Charles and Magneto. No! Spread the love! I don't know if I'm going to go back to see it again in 3D because it's not making any money and it's going to disappear from theaters really quickly. So I don't know if that's going to work because this past weekend I went and saw Godzilla King of the Monsters again, this time in 3D, but it was only playing in 3D in one theater in Manhattan, and I had to go all the way over to that one, and I feel like that's what's going to happen with Dark Phoenix, if that. I'm not even sure I'll be able to see it in 3D next weekend because I think it'll be gone by then. So I'll have missed my opportunity. Which is a shame because I've heard that the 3D is actually really good, and maybe that will help keep me at least visually interested in the movie. Godzilla in 3D was actually pretty good. I wish the screen was bigger, but what are you going to do? It's, weeks later, so it's in a tiny theater. But I was correct in that the 3D does help to, it just helped with the monsters to give them space and depth and dimension, and especially in the dark and the rain, it helped to, show the spatial awareness of where they are in relation to each other, and then when they're fighting you can tell what's what and stuff. That did help. And it's still a great fun monster movie, because this time they actually remembered to put the monsters in the movie. As opposed to the last Godzilla. The other movie that I went to see this weekend was Rocket Man, the story of Elton John's life, which I enjoyed, but I think I might have enjoyed... I don't know if I would have enjoyed it better if I had seen it when I wasn't so tired at the end of the day, because I felt like it didn't have momentum. It felt a bit long. I checked my watch a few times. Because what I appreciated is that there's these great, fantastic musical numbers where they take an Elton John song and they, like, use it in the movie. Sometimes it's just, like, for fun, and then sometimes it helps to tell the story. But I thought that was a really clever way to get the music into the movie about his life without it just being, like, performances. Some of them are performances, but then they also add in fantastical elements to those too. So it's like, it's great. The musical numbers are fantastic, but then they stop and then there's like dialogue and it just feels like it sort of turns into a slog until the next musical number when suddenly it comes to life again. So I feel like maybe they could have trimmed it down a little. I don't know what you could have cut out, but it just didn't feel like it had that same momentum. It just slowed to a crawl when it wasn't a musical number. I will give it credit for being super gay. That was awesome. Because I know there were complaints. I didn't see Bohemian Rhapsody yet, but I know there were complaints that they, like, tampered down his bisexuality so as not to upset audiences and whatever. But you can't do that with Elton John. Elton John is super gay. So he's running around being fabulous and gay, and it addresses it. It's a major plot point. It's a huge big deal. It's like the focus of the film practically. And they did not shy away from the gay sex. You get to see Eggsy shagging Rob Stark. And they do pan off, but it's not like they start kissing and they pan off. They start kissing, and then they start doing other things, and then eventually they pan off. So props to those filmmakers for really diving right in, not being afraid to show that, because that's life. But if you like musicals, go see it. I wish they promoted it as a musical. Like, from the trailers you could tell that it was a musical, because there were shots in there that was, like, clearly a bunch of people dancing in the street and whatever, and you're just like, oh, this is a musical. Why aren't you showing us this as a musical? But they're always afraid. They're like, oh, we're afraid people don't like musicals. And it's like, no, people like musicals. Give us a musical. Which they did, but tell us you're giving us a musical. Don't try to trick people. Now moving on to E3, which happened last week. And it was a very unusual E3, I thought. But first we're going to address the elephant in the room, which is Animal Crossing. They did announce a new Animal Crossing game, Animal Crossing New Horizons. Unfortunately, the new Animal Crossing game will not be out this year as originally planned. It has been bumped to March of 2020. Now, I appreciate that they want to make the game as good as they can, and I don't want them to grind their staff into dust trying to make it in time. I certainly do not want that. I'm just disappointed because I thought since they skipped the Wii U that they were taking that game development and just sort of transferring it to the Switch so they'd be like well ahead of schedule already, because they would have already started a game, but maybe they didn't start a game for the Wii U. I don't know. I would love to know though. So yeah, we've got to wait a lot longer, so that's annoying. And my Animal Crossing 3DS XL did not survive long enough for the new Animal Crossing game, and I am now playing it on my original 3DS, which I still don't feel is very sturdy anymore, and I just need this to last me until March of 2020. I need 9 more months of use out of this, because good lord. I'm not buying a 3DS to keep playing it, but I have to, because I have to keep playing Animal Crossing. I can't just not play Animal Crossing. I am concerned about this new Animal Crossing game. I've got to be honest with you. Looking at the trailer, I was very concerned because they have brought in the crafting from the mobile game Pocket Camp, which I did not like. I played Pocket Camp for like a few weeks and then just stopped because I did not like it. I was like, this is not Animal Crossing to me. This is a lot of busy work and collecting and waiting, and it's annoying. And like, it's like, oh, collect this for this person, and collect that for that person, then collect these things so that you can craft that. And it's a lot of like collecting little things, and how do you collect this, and how do you collect that. And it was just a lot of busy work. And I'm like, that's not what Animal Crossing is. That's not what Animal Crossing is about. That's not the spirit of Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing is supposed to be a game where you can boot it up, and you can walk around town, and you can do whatever you want. If you want to run around town and water your plants, and pick your weeds, and go fishing, and pick bugs, and talk to your friends, you can do all of those things. Or you can do none of it. You can literally just like walk around and like dig holes in the ground. Like, you could do whatever you want. Or nothing. That's the whole point of it. You can do whatever you like. So I am concerned because New Horizons, you're on an island and you're basically building the town from the ground up. On the one hand, that's kind of exciting because you'll be able to hopefully like place things where you like them and, you know, make your town yours. Like, design it from scratch. That's kind of cool. Because usually you get, like, here is your town layout, you know, and you can't even tell people where to move in. They just move in where they want. So, I appreciate the ability. My question, which has not yet been answered, is how much work is that going to be? Because I'm like, am I going to be able to pay for things with bells, or do I have to craft things? Like, you start out in a tent. When you get a house, is that a matter of like paying Nook off, you know, paying off your tent, and then he's like, great, now I'll build you a house? Or do you have to go and collect wood to build your own house? I don't know. Because in the treehouse presentation, where they had someone like walking through and playing the game, she collected some sticks and then she built an axe. However, you can also sell those sticks and use those bells to buy an axe. So I'm thinking maybe it will let you do both. You can craft things or you can buy them, which I think that's fair. Like, if you want to play it more classical Animal Crossing and just collect things, sell them for bells, and then buy stuff, that's great. If you want to actually build your own house or whatever, that's also great. And I don't know what happens with the other people in town, because the other people who were living in town were also living in tents. So I'm like, when you upgrade to a house, do they also get houses? Or do they, like, move in as a camper and then you have to convince them to stay and build them a house? You know, do they pay for their own house, or do you have to build them a house? Like, I don't know how that works. So there's still a lot of questions, but I am a little concerned because I didn't care for the crafting. It's not something I was into. However, it might be okay because, like, when she crafted her axe during the treehouse presentation, zip, zip, and it was done. And then Nook applauds and says, good work crafting. So, like, it's instant. As opposed to the mobile game, where because it's a free-to-play game with the microtransactions, you either wait an hour or a day or whatever, and then you, like, or you can pay to have it done quicker. But since you're paying $60 for Animal Crossing, there's no microtransactions, so crafting should be basically done. And there it is in front of you. It should be instantaneous. It shouldn't make you wait for it. Even if it's a big couch or something, it shouldn't make you wait. Because you're paying. You've paid for the game. It's not a free game where you can pay to get things to go faster. Here, it should just go faster, because you've already paid. So I'm still concerned, but at least it won't be that annoying. But we'll see what happens. There will obviously be more to say about Animal Crossing. I'm sure there will still be a big direct, but now I guess that won't happen until like December or January, probably. Wait and see, I guess. Also, Facebook Memories was reminding me about how, 8-9 years ago I was actually at E3 taking pictures and covering it for GayGamer.net. So that was sad to be reminded of that. But I went to Nintendo New York because they had some games, some of the E3 games they had demos of that you could play at the store. And I thought, great, let's go check it out. So I went over during my lunch hour on Thursday, and they had 3 games for demo: Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, Luigi's Mansion 3, and Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. There was literally no line for Marvel Ultimate Alliance, but I didn't care about playing that, because I've played that game before. But not that one, but I'm sure it plays the same. And the line for Zelda was longer than the one for Luigi, and from what I saw on the big screen and stuff, Link's Awakening appears to play exactly the same, it just looks different, you know? So I was like, let me get in the line for Luigi's Mansion. But then after 20 minutes, I'd barely moved at all, and I was like, this isn't going to work, I have to get back to work, so never mind, goodbye, and I just left. And I was like, that was a complete waste of time. Except that it wasn't a complete waste of time, because I went over to the section for the Animal Crossing merch, and just to see if they had anything new. And I bought myself this lovely Animal Crossing official sticker book with so many stickers of all kinds of characters, and it's wonderful, and I can't wait to put stickers on literally everything I own. And there's activities and stuff too, and I'm totally going to do all of these activities. Don't think I won't. I did go back again on Friday after work in the hopes of maybe having more time to wait in line, except that at 5:30 the lines were like 2-3 times longer than they were during the lunch hour. So I was like, yeah, no, this is not happening. So I didn't get to play anything, no hands-on, but I did get to look at them, and like, Link's Awakening looks beautiful. I really do love the graphical style. Everything's like all like kind of plasticky and shiny, and you know, it just looks so cool. Unfortunately, normally that would be a must-buy for me, except for the fact that during the presentation they announced that it was coming out on September 20th. And the problem with that is that literally 1 week later is Dragon Quest XI's, which I have been waiting forever for. So I'm sorry, Link, but you're not going to awaken for a time, because I'm going to have to wait. You'll have to wait. I did not buy Dragon Quest on the PS4, specifically so that I could get it for the Switch and play it portably, wherever and whenever. And so, unfortunately, that's happening. September 27th, Dragon Quest. That's it. So I'm hoping that I need to be done with Ys 8 by September 27th. Or I need to at least be at a point in the game where it's gotten too hard and it's frustrating, and I'm like, okay, I'll just give it up, and then I can start playing Dragon Quest. Because whatever I'm playing on the Switch, everything stops so I can play Dragon Quest. Finally. Finally. So Link's Awakening is just going to have to wait, and I'll probably get it somewhere in 2020 as like a Nintendo choice for like $20 or something, so that'll be good. I am super psyched for Dragon Quest. I didn't actually watch any of the trailers or presentations about it because I'm already sold. What are you going to make me want it more? I also didn't really care about the Square Enix presentation in general because there wasn't really anything in there that I was super interested in. They're doing a lot of RPG remakes. Specifically, everyone's psyched about this Final Fantasy VII remake, and I'm just sort of like, I don't care. Like, everyone is all like, oh, and I'm just like, I don't care. Like, I will give them credit for it's like a new game. Like, they've changed the graphics, and they've changed the gameplay, and it's a different battle system. It's just basically this new game hung on, like, the story framework of the original Final Fantasy VII. And I was just like, I'm not such a goggle-eyed fan of Final Fantasy VII that I'm super excited to play it again. I want to play something new. I mean, granted, like I said, it is kind of a new game, but I'm just sort of like, I don't... Also, it's like being split up into chapters, and I'm just like, it took them like, how long to make the first chapter? How long are you going to wait for the second one? I don't know. Give me a game. All in one. And then maybe some DLC. But don't split the game up like that, it's just not cool. And then they're also like remaking Final Fantasy VIII, but that one is just a slight graphical upgrade. And then they're releasing like Secret of Mana and stuff, and like there's part of me is super like, oh, there's a lot of great RPGs that I never played the first time around. This is my chance. The problem is that these are all RPGs that are going to take me like 6 months to play because they'll take me forever, and I can't play them all. Like, it's insane. So I'm basically just being like, no more RPGs. It's too much. Dragon Quest is all I can focus on. Like, I can't think about any of these because I'd never finish it by that time. I'm not going to finish Ys by the time Dragon Quest comes out. I know it. So I'm like, stop with the remakes. But then I'm also like, but no, remake something I really want to play. Right? So it's double standard there. I did tune in to the end of the Square Enix press conference because they ended with Avengers. And because I was super excited, I wanted to see what they were going to do. And, yeah, I don't know what that was all about. It was just a bunch of cinematic footage, and there was no gameplay shown. They talked about how there was gameplay on the show floor, but then they didn't show it in the presentation, so I'm like, what are you hiding? It's there. People are going to show it. They're going to talk about it. If it's bad, don't show it at all. But I also wasn't sure because they keep talking about the storyline, but then they seem to also be focusing on how it's a multiplayer game, and they're going to have new heroes and new missions and new stuff all the time coming out constantly for free. And I'm like, that's great, but is it a single player game or is it a multiplayer game? Which is it? And I don't know, and they weren't very clear about that. It also irks me because it looks like they were supposed to be a movie tie-in because all the costumes look like the movie costumes, but their faces don't. So it's sort of like, it looks like they thought they had the movie license, but then they didn't. And then they were like, oh, well, we have to change their faces. They can't look like the movie people. Which is also annoying to me because I prefer that they would look like the comic book, you know, not the movie. Like, if you're not doing because it's a whole different story and a whole different timeline, so it isn't the movie time. It's not set in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's its own thing. So I'm like, why wouldn't you make them look like they do in the comic books? Because for me, that's what I want. Like, when I played Spider-Man on the PS4, I played classic costume the whole way. Except for that one mission where you, for the story reason, had to get that new suit that's on the cover of the box because it had special powers. But then as soon as that fight was over and I had the opportunity, I switched back to the classic costume skin because you retain the powers, but you can look the way you like. And I wanted him to look like actual classic Spider-Man, like from the comics that I remember, know, and love. So I would rather play an Avengers game where they looked like the Avengers from the comics. But that's just me. I also would rather play a single-player game, because I don't do multiplayer. So the problem for me is this seems to be very multiplayer-focused, and I'm just sort of like, so I don't know which way it's going. Is it like multiplayer-focused with a single-player throwaway single-player storyline that you can do? I mean, I guess it makes sense to do. I get that it makes sense to do it as a multiplayer game because it's a team. It's not a single-player game where you're going to switch between the members of the team and then, like... Although I guess you could still do that. I mean, you play teams in role-playing games, so you could do it like that, and you can switch in between them depending on what you needed to do, and have the other ones just follow you around as you play one character. So, I just talked myself around that one. But whatever. We'll see what they end up making. I'm just not super enthused right now about it. Whatever. But yeah, this E3 was very weird. Like, I was mostly focused on Nintendo's stuff because that was interesting, and I obviously wanted to see Animal Crossing. I wasn't interested in the Microsoft one because my Xbox is basically just collecting dust at this point, and I can't imagine that they would come up with anything that I would be excited about. Also, Microsoft was basically all about, hey, we've got a new Xbox coming, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm good. This one's not really getting a whole lot of use, and I can't imagine that you're going to have any kind of exclusives on the new Xbox that is going to make me want to buy one. Sorry. Like, I only bought the Xbox One because I wanted to play, like, Rock Band and Dance Central and stuff, but now those games are basically dead, so what are you going to give me on the new Xbox? What, Halo? I don't play Halo. I'm good, thanks. And then Sony wasn't even there, so there was no PlayStation press conference, which was just strange. I'm not really sure what the thinking was on that one. I mean, there was plenty of PlayStation elsewhere in the other presentations, like in the Ubisoft and EA and everybody, Square Enix and such. So there are games coming to PlayStation, but Sony didn't tout their own stuff, which is weird, I thought. What are you going to do? But, like, there was nothing that really, like, I knew going into this E3, all I really cared about, like I said last episode, all I cared about was Animal Crossing information. And I got that. I'm not thrilled by the information I was given, but I got it. And then I was like, maybe there will be a game from one of them, like Ubisoft or Square Enix or something, that makes me go, ooh, that's amazing, didn't see that coming, that's super cool. And there really wasn't anything like that this year that, like, came out of nowhere and, like, was like, ooh, and captured my attention. So, yeah, it was kind of a dud this year, I thought. Share in the comments anything that you're excited about, because, like I said, I wasn't watching every single moment of every single press conference. I watched some stuff, I read some articles, whatever. Let me know in the comments if there's something that you saw in one of the E3 presentations that you think I might want to know about, because it's up my alley. You guys watch this, you know what I like, what I play. Let me know in the comments if I missed anything. I don't know if I did or not. And I will see you back here next time, where I will talk about how I think I'm finally getting the hang of Ys 8 combat. Bye-bye!